Hello YouTube, welcome to today's video. In today's video I'll be showcasing and explaining how to have a perfect game as a jungler, especially coming to those farming, heavy counter jungling, invading type of junglers such as Graves, but it could also be something like Nidalee, Talon, etc, etc. So yeah, I just finished this game. It was being played in 200 LP Masters, and the first thing I do is I realize that I have Ignite on the top lane and I have a really strong level 1 on both mid and top compared to the enemy, and Graves actually also quite strong level 1, so I decide to go for a late invade. I've done videos for this in the past, but just to quickly summarize, you sit around this bush until 126 usually, and then you use your sweeper and then you just invade. In this situation I knew that this ward was this bush was warded because it's being pinged by my action, so I use my sweeper a little bit earlier and give the experience from the ward to my laner. In this case it was Riven, and the reason why I do it a little bit earlier is because the enemy team doesn't know if I decided to go to my own red buff or if we're going to invade the blue buff now, because we did have enough time that I could go for both. So we go in, we see that Viego is not here. The reason why we take the blast cone at 131, 132 is because in case that they start the blue buff, we would like them to tank the blue buff for 1-2 autos and also use their abilities onto the blue buff so that we will have an HP and cooldown advantage. So this means that Viego started on bot side, so I take his blue and I take his Grump. And then I go to defend my own side. In this situation, I want to defend my bot side, so I only take my Raptors here. And then I go to defend, because I'm expecting that Viego is gonna go into my bot side jungle, because otherwise you would have to cross map and there would be a high chance of us seeing him. But I see that he's not here, so these jungle camps are just free for me to take. We then see him on top side. And at this point I'm expecting that, okay, he did cross map and now he's on top side of the map. So he's probably taking my red buff and maybe even my Crux. But even in that situation I would still be ahead in experience, because if we take a look at Viego's CS, then we would see that he just full cleared his own bot side. So I then go to check and see. At this point I'm expecting my red buff to be gone, but it wasn't. But in case red buff was gone, then I was going to top side to check my Crux. And once I've then finished my Crux, then keep in mind that we cleared the Raptors before we entered into the bot side, so the Raptors will spawn right after. My top laner gets first blood, which is very, very nice. And then I see Viego now on bot side. So because I see him on bot side, then I will counter him because I started on his top side. So I know that his top side is up. And it's not down because he's on bot side and my top side camp just spawned. So if I didn't see the Viego here on bot side, I would just have recalled with the amount of gold that I had and bought my Serrated Dirk and a longsword and a control ward. But because I see that he's on bot side, I want to maximize my lead. And because that gank then doesn't work, then now I'm ahead in both experience and gold. But in case Viego got a kill, then I would have been ahead in experience, but Viego would have been ahead in gold from getting a kill or an assist. So then I instead get to recall with Serrated Dirk and double longsword, which is really, really nice. And then I path into my bot side jungle. I now see that Viego is on top side. Reason why he's ganking is because there's no top side camps for him to do. I could have spam pinged and told my top laner like, yo, be careful, but I didn't in this situation. Unfortunately I do a really bad Q, but I ended up getting a kill. And then because I saw that Viego was on top side, this is a little bit greedy to go for this without the Akshan and the Soraka. I see the Viego, but I still want to contest red because I have smite. But then I get hit by Senna and then I have to simply get out of here. So very greedy play for me. I probably shouldn't have went for it, but luckily I don't end up dying. Or I should just have played the red buff situation slower. And then here I decide to take the Drake because we have bot lane prio. And I just saw that the enemy jungler used the smite, so I'm expecting him to not have double stacks. And I had double stacks, that's why I go for this. And then I simply just base and walk into my topside jungle. So at this point, me and Viego are even on kills, but my farm is a lot higher, so therefore I have a small gold lead of 300-400 gold, which is essentially worth 1 kill. I also have a small XP lead, but yeah. Viego then gets another kill, but because he is then showing on bot side, then I will just take the Rift Herald. And Rift Herald is giving the same amount of gold as a kill now, so I don't mind getting the objective. That gives me the same amount of gold as a kill, and I can still use it for taking down platings. I then take his Grump. I didn't decide, I chose not to go for his Wolves because I didn't have vision of the Viego, and I didn't want to greed, because I knew I had my own topside camps that I could safely take, so I decided to just take those without any risk, rather than risking going into Viego's jungle, possibly finding him, and potentially dying. So I then base again, and even though the Viego is 2-0 and I'm only 1-0, because I have both the Rift Herald and the first Drake, we are actually ahead as a team, but I also have an individual lead. In both experience and in gold, I'm up 1 level. And then here Viego just decides to run it down. He thinks that he can beat me when I'm playing lethality graves. And if we compare items, then you will see that he didn't have his mythic yet, and I had Umbral Glaive plus a serrated Dirk and the level lead on top of him. So that is the reason why I won. Actually, I also had red buff, so that's why I simply just won this. So now I get an even bigger lead. And then I hard shove here. And then here I actually go for his Crux initially. But then I see that the Senna is recalling here, and then I decide to play just very aggressive and flash Q auto her. And she dies. Check if the Seraphine was there, but she wasn't. And then I take the Crux. And then I'm just waiting for the Seraphine to go, because I know that there is a delay between the Seraphine and the Senna. And because I have Umbral Glaive up, I know that this is not warded. So I now have vision of her. And then we just go for another kill here. She flashes. Arctis ends up getting the kill. I then use the Rift Herald. We get first tower. And then I base because I know Drake is about to spawn. So I really want to base, use my gold, so I'm really strong before the fight. And then we go for the Drake instantly. We then take the Drake. I take the Scuttle Crab. And now I'm going towards top side because there's no objectives to take on bot side. We already got the tower, we already got the Drake. So instead we are just playing for top side. Unfortunately, Viego has been counter jungling me, so there's nothing for me to find. We then end up killing the Viego again. I probably should have ulted in this situation to secure the kill. Could maybe also went on Senna there if I wanted to play really aggressive, but these are all just smaller mechanical situations that could have been optimized, but doesn't really have too much to do with macro. So I know the Viego is dead, so I take his jungle camp, and I saw that the Senna crossed into mid, so I know no one is here to defend the Seraphine underneath the tower, unless if Fiora TPs. Kars unfortunately ends up dying, but I end up trading kill back. So then I tax another wave, we get the tower, and then take the Rift Herald. And go once again into his jungle. And then I wanted to kill the Seraphine here. I should probably went to kill the Seraphine first instead of taking the Wolf Camp, because now I missed out on the kill. That should have been more or less free. So that was a small mistake on my end. And then I just decided to power farm. And then we still see Viego down on the bot side, so now I'm just gonna counter jungle him again. And he can't really contest me. Then because none of my teammates are here, I decide to also push this wave in for free. And then Drake is about to spawn, so I have to reset and play for bot side of the map again. So quickly farm everything up. And at this point I have a 2 level lead. As a team we have a 6k gold lead, and yeah, we're just massively ahead, but majority of the gold lead is actually on me, with almost more than 3,500. So yeah, really important that I don't die here. And I think we're actually gonna get an opportunity. Yeah, we get an opportunity to get a kill, potentially to win a fight. Sorry about that. So here, I was very tempted to look for a flash Q into the wall, into ult, and potentially kill 1 or 2 people, especially if Riven also throws her ulti in as well. But the most important thing here, there are actually 2 important things here. The most important thing is I shouldn't die because I have 1,000 gold lead, or 1,000 gold bounty, and I don't want to give that one. The second most important thing is we need to also get the dragon. And right now we can just take the Drake for free without having to win this fight. So even though we could technically greed for this fight and try and ace them or get like a double kill, triple kill, quarter kill, I didn't want to commit for an all-in because of the fact that I wasn't too scared of dying here. I actually felt very confident in the fact that we could make this play, but I was afraid of not being able to kill all of them and get to a low HP, so we wouldn't be able to take the dragon because we would need to base. Thinking back, we could probably still have done this play and then Soraka would just heal us and then we would still have done the Drake. So in this situation, I could have played more aggressive and I should have felt a little bit more safe. And I was thinking about it, but I decided not to. And I also missed my QR combo. But I wanted to flash QR to try and get more kills. But we end up getting the Drake. My teammates then decide to fight. I don't really have ulti right now, so I'm not confident in taking this fight. If I had ulti, I actually wouldn't mind taking a 2v4 fight when I'm this far ahead. But it's only because I'm this far ahead that I would be willing to take it. So then we used the Rift Herald on top side, and in this situation I was actually very annoyed because initially what I wanted to do is I wanted this Rift Herald that's being pushed into top lane to crash into the tier 2 tower to get 550 gold. But as you can see, my Soraka just based, my Akshan is bot lane, my car is pathing towards bot lane, and Riven is the only one who is pathing towards top. So I end up getting caught and have to flash an ulti out. And the Rift Herald will end up doing nothing. So this was just a miscommunication in terms of where we should be on the map between me and the team. In my opinion, we should have been top lane, trying to defend this Rift Herald and push with it. But because the team is not on top side, I should just have let the Rift Herald die. Because there should not be a situation where I get caught here and should have to flash and ulti out just to get away. So yeah. We then decide to group, we get Senna's flash, Karthus ultis to force them to low HP, and then we just take the dragon, or the Baron, sorry. And then I just decide to farm for a little bit. Typically this is not the best to do. With the Baron buff you would typically be farming as much, or not farming as much as possible, but be pushing as much as possible and gaining as many towers. Whereas instead I end up just yeah, farming and fighting instead, which is not the most ideal thing to do. So that's also a mistake, you could say. But at the end of the day, Soul will eventually spawn and we're this far ahead, so we are allowed to make some of these greedy kind of bad macro plays. Without really being punished, because as long as we get the soul, then we still have good scaling. So here my teammates are just pushing. I could have helped them, but I actually just wanted to set up for the Drake. But I then realized that they're just constantly winning these fights, so I decided to also just push. We eventually end up overstaying. Could be because I didn't help them push at first, so that could also have been my bad. But we end up getting the Drake. And then we base, and then at this point all we have to do is just group in the last lane where we haven't taken the inhib, which is top lane. And then just play around the fact that we have mid lane and bot lane being pushed in by super minions constantly. So that's what we do. And then here we do a very small outplay here on the Fiora. Because she's silenced, I knew she couldn't W, so I just ulted her and one-shot her. Which allows us to get another tower, get the last inhib, and we're on the Nexus towers. Then we get a few last kills to end off the game. And in this game, to summarize what happened, We didn't have as much impact on the lanes as Viego. Viego actually did do more damage in the early game to laners, and he also affected the laners a little bit more and killed them and zoned them off. But we got all of the objectives, so we got the first Drake, first Rift Herald, second Drake, second Rift Herald, third Drake, fourth Drake, and Baron, and first tower. And we end up having a 3 level lead, as well as a 6,000 gold lead, as well as not having died a single time. So some mistakes in the game, which will happen every single game. So it's not an absolute perfect game, but it is very close to a perfect game for jungle, for junglers that like to just power farm and counter jungle and don't really have the best ganks, or in games where you don't have really good gank setup. This is what you're trying to achieve in order to win the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to leave a like. If you have any questions regarding this game, then leave it in the comment section down below. Please refer to it with timestamps so I specifically know what to answer, if it's in this game specifically related. And then otherwise, subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And then I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys on my next YouTube video. See you guys.